In this video, I'm going to be making a cheesy chicken and rice skillet, a simple one-pot meal you can make on a weekday, and I'm going to serve it up with a green salad.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to be notified when there's new videos. Comments welcome. Thank you.
All right. Going to get started on dinner here. First off, I'm going to put a damp paper towel here down on the counter. Keep the cutting board from sliding around so much. And the first thing on this is I'm just going to make the salad, get the salads out of the way. Then I can just concentrate on making the cheesy chicken and rice skillet. Now, of course, if you want to make this even quicker, just pick up a bag salad at the supermarket. But it only takes, like 10 to 15 minutes to make a simple chopped salad like this. So. And we prefer the hearts of romaine, which have already been cleaned, and I just like the insides of the romaine better than the outside green or leafier parts. And it's not expensive, so. Alternative, of course, you can buy the huge bag of chopped up romaine. It's a good way to do it. Now with something that's kind of heavy like this, this cheesy chicken and rice skillet, I think salad's is a good side dish. The other go-to probably be just some steamed vegetables. Okay, and some Roma tomatoes. These are pretty much my favorite tomatoes anymore. You can see I've got the broth there thawing out in the sink on the left. And the Roma tomatoes, they don't have a lot of guts you need to remove or anything. You just slice them up, even to make diced tomatoes. When you get the bigger tomatoes, you like to make diced tomatoes, you have to cut out the middle. Just leave the skins, basically. Yeah, I got some bell pepper that's got some halves left. You see some of each one of these. Seems like it used to be. We all just ate green peppers and didn't realize that there were like red and yellow ones, unless you had your own garden. Now, pretty much I just eat the red the most. Sometimes the orange and the yellow. Don't eat the green very much. Mostly only use it in omelets or hash browns or something. We'll save that for the next day's salad. Okay, English cucumber. I definitely do like the English ones better because you don't have to peel them and you don't have to seed them. Sometimes I hear them called burpless, but I've never had a problem with burping with cucumbers. All right, classic Mexican blend cheese. Almost always have this on hand. Okay, we'll get some black olives. And I always count these out and do 7 per salad. I don't have OCD. And Last thing up, gonna have our bacon bits, bacon crumbles. Okay, so that's it for our salads, and I'm only at about 12 and a half minutes. It's not too bad. Use that spinach next time. Okay, pull up our recipe again. I think I've only made this once before. No, this is a new recipe. I haven't ever made this one. So we got our chicken, and these are boneless, skinless chicken thighs. And we get these bulk from the meat counter, and we just have them pack them in 3s now because they're so big. So still, this is about 1.5 pounds, somewhere in there, 1 1/3 pounds to 1.5 pounds with 3 of them. And I'm just going to trim off the fat and anything else on there I don't like. Every once in a while there's actually a little bit of bone left, but usually they're pretty good. These are definitely my go-to for chicken now, instead of breast, now that these are available pretty cheaply. And I did used to do the thighs before and debone them myself, but this is so much easier. Of course, when I deboned them myself, I could save the bones and the skin and use that to make broth. Now I'm going to cut this into like fairly large bite-sized chunks. Try to keep them fairly consistent in size, but it doesn't matter too much. Get out the large skillet. Find a lid for it. Okay, we'll get some oil heating up here. Get my favorite spatula. Okay, we're back. Pan should be hot. Get this chicken going. Now's a good time to clean the cutting board, of course. Don't want to cross-contaminate things. Okay, so we got the chicken cooking back there, and now we're going to dice up the onion. Now, a lot of times I do like to prep stuff in advance, but for something like this, just a skillet, you can just go and kind of just do things on the fly as you need them, because there's really nothing time critical here. It's not like stir fry where you want to have stuff ready to go so that you're not overcooking different parts or something like that. In fact, I'm even cooking the chicken and the onions together. Oftentimes I'll cook the chicken, take it out, and then cook the onions and whatever else. In this case, it's not really going to matter. Everything's all going to get mixed together in the end here. Pepper and salt. Now, when the recipe just calls for salt, I use table salt, unless it specifies like kosher salt. And there is a difference in the saltiness, as a kosher salt's about half as salty as table salt, because it's giant chunks that are not as dense. So you want to keep that in mind, especially when you're going the other way. If it calls for kosher salt and you use table salt, you want to use about half as much. So of course, we're going to go through the stage here where the chicken and the onions here are going to release their liquid. Then we're going to need to, then we'll basically boil that off, and then it will start cooking a little more after that. Sorry, I had to get a drink there. And grab the garlic. Now most of the water's gone. Start cooking a little faster. This is one of my favorite things about this. Using a wooden spatula like this that's flat across there, is you can just scrape across the bottom, clean it right off, not scratch your pan, and it's good and strong, unlike the floppy little egg flipper spatulas. Seems like no matter how well I think I chop it up, I always have to do this. I always have to chop the pieces in half. Luckily, that's like a good indication of when the chicken is done enough, because if it's easy to cut in half like that, it's done. Okay, we get our garlic in there. Gonna go with about 3 cloves, I think. Okay, we'll go in with our broth. It's about half thawed out. That'll work fine. We'll melt down the rest of it in the pan. Now the recipe actually calls for 3 cups of chicken broth. And what I dumped in the frozen was going to be about 2 cups, so I'll just go with another cup of water, and I'll use a teaspoon of the better than bouillon. because I don't want to get out 2 things of broth from the freezer and only use half of one. So yeah, actually probably be fine with just 2 cups of broth, but might as well go for a little more flavor. Oops. Drop the tomato paste. Okay. Now I want to work on loosening up all that fond on the bottom. I want to get all that flavor in there. And we don't want anything to stick down later. The recipe calls for 12-ounce package of frozen peas and carrots. But I don't have any peas and carrots. I'm just going to use these mixed vegetables. And this is actually a 16-ounce bag. So we're going to have a little extra veggies, which is not a bad thing. Only thing you need to worry about is whether or not it'll fit in your pan. And I hope it will fit. Okay, we got 1 can of cream of chicken soup. And I'm using this unsalted version of it, so I can control the salt better. But you can definitely just use the regular. Now I'm using some of my broth is unsalted. The better than bouillon I'm using is low sodium. And then this is unsalted. Still has some salt in it, but a lot less. So I'll be probably be needing to add some salt at the end here. You can see we're already getting pretty full and haven't added in the rice yet. Grab the rice. This is basmati rice, but you could use any long or short grain white rice that you like, or that you happen to have on hand, because it's not really going to matter. In fact, if it's stickier or whatever, it's probably better. In fact, I think I thought I had a bag of like some kind of store brand white rice that was left in here that I was going to try to use that, but I couldn't find it. So we'll just use the basmati. And we don't need to rinse it or anything. Extra starch in there will just help make it creamier. Got 1.5 cups of rice. And so basically we got the ratio right now. We got 3 cups of broth. We got 1.5 cups of rice. So 2-to-1 ratio on the rice. think about that for your own, making your own one pot meals. If you want to add rice to it, you basically need to do 2-to-1 ratio, adding the water and the rice. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring this up to a boil and then turn it down and just simmer it for about 15-20 minutes, however long, until that rice is done. And this kind of situation, cooking it all in the skillet together like this, it's not so critical that you leave the rice alone. Because normally if you if you'd like sit there and stir it while it's trying to cook, you'll end up with really sticky rice. But we don't really have to worry about that in this case. Well, basically I will leave it alone anyway. So not only will the rice cook, the frozen vegetables will cook. We got a pretty good little boil going there, and we'll turn the heat down, cover it. The cheese, we're going to be putting that in after after the rice is done cooking. We'll add in a couple cups of cheese. Okay, let's check on this here. I'm going to stir it a bit and scrape it off since it's sticking down just a little bit. It's just kind of lightly stuck. And as I've said before, this is okay as long as it's slightly stuck. Just go ahead, use your spatula like this and scrape it up, and that'll help it not stick down further and burn down. But if it does burn down, if you leave it too long, don't try scraping it off the bottom. Just leave it on there and continue cooking until it's done, and then don't scrape it up. You won't pull the burn stuff into the skillet that way, into your meal. Because about the worst things you could do is if it's already burned and you just stir it in there, and then you have all those chunks of burned stuff in there. So I got everything loosened up now. Okay, we'll add a few more. I've got some croutons and some sunflower seeds for a salad. I'm going to grab some dressing. Got our ranch and our Olive Garden, Italian. What else? Dill ranch. Creamy Caesar. Whatever you like. I got some blue cheese tucked way back in there. I'm like the only one that likes blue cheese, so I'll just put it on my salad. Feeling like some blue cheese today. I used to buy blue cheese dressing all the time, but anymore I can't find any good ones. Not even Lighthouse or any, It's like they don't hardly have any blue cheese in them. I'll just buy blue cheese and put it on and use ranch, something like that. Some sunflower seeds. There's Murphy. Checking to see if I dropped anything. He's handy to have around. He cleans things up for me. Gonna refresh my drink here. Well, I got a little time to kill. Trying to make sure I get the dinner forks out and not dessert forks. Okay, see how we're doing now. It's looking pretty good. Let's give it a taste. See if the rice is done. See how the seasoning is. So a little pepper and season it however you like at this point. All right, then we'll just add in a couple of cups of a Mexican blend cheese, or whatever kind of melty cheese you like. Cheddar, pepper jack would be good in here too. Spice it up a bit. It's kind of full, I gotta be careful here. All right. Dinner is pretty much ready. Just do a little last minute cleanup. Okay, so here we go with our mini buffet. We just have the one thing, our cheesy chicken and rice skillet. Easy one pot meal, and then our salads and our dressings, and that's it. Ready to eat. Okay, I'll get me a plate. See the nice stringy cheese in there. Some nice comfort food here. Get some coarse brown black pepper. Got my salad. Give her a taste again. Oh yeah. Nice, easy, tasty meal. Thanks for watching.
If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, please like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to be notified when new videos become available.